Welcome to another edition of the FUTHead podcast, where we discuss all things FIFA Ultimate Team. I am Matt Aguilera.
And I am Matt Metz.
Yeah, you can actually see me. This is our new format. It's not going to be just like me going around like T. Martin showing you my swanky pad, which isn't all that swanky. But we are going to be live, coming at you through the power of the internet, which I've stolen that catchphrase from somewhere else.
Say that was a boogie.
That was Boogie, wasn't it? Yeah. And of course, we've been away for a little while, so we will address it. We will tell you what's been going on, and there's a good news, bad news, good news situation, otherwise known as a shit sandwich. so before we go into that, Metz, we've been away for about, I can't remember how long it's been now, 6 weeks.
Yeah, about 6 weeks. Yeah, we've missed a few episodes.
We have missed a few episodes, and what happened is obviously Chemgate came around. We put a lot of time and effort into that. Obviously, it looks like FIFA's just going to get away with it. We'll come back to that one later. We decided to have a little bit of time off as an unintended break. We didn't just, it just kind of happened. And in the meantime, we assessed where we were on our journey as a show. We wanted to change the format. And the other thing would be is that this will be the last podcast we do as the FUTHead, as part of the FUTHead team. We are leaving, and we're going to be doing our own podcast and live show, this YouTube show, under our old brand of FUTStock. So hopefully you'll see us over there to address the whole thing about why we're leaving. One of the big reasons is that over time we've loved doing the show. We've had a great time doing it. We love FUTHead.
Looks like people are live reacting in the background to you there. Who's not happy with that news? So, yeah, it's not a laughing matter. It's a serious matter, apparently. But here's the thing. Over the year, we've been doing this. We've done 43 episodes of FUTHead podcast. In that time, the viewership has stayed quite steady, but dwindled, admittedly. And we just want to have enough control over our own fortune and go our own way. I don't know if that explains everything, actually, Metz. Hopefully you can say your point of view on it. But the big news is we are leaving FUTHead. This is our goodbye show, effectively, to FUTHead. But we are going to be carrying on as FUTStock, doing exactly the same thing. Yeah, pretty much. When we started doing the FUTHead podcast, we had quite high viewership numbers, and they've slowly gone down despite we feeling our content's getting better and better. So what we've sort of come to the conclusion of is that the type of show we're making doesn't suit the ready-made audience on FUTHead. They're after something a little bit different. So we feel that we can grow our podcast to the maximum by doing our own thing, by having complete control, being able to upload as and when we want to. And that's no disrespect to FUTHead. They've been ever so kind to us, and they gave us a really great opportunity, and we really appreciate them branching out and bringing us into the fold. It just feels the right time to move on and do something different. So it's important to state that we don't know whether the FUTHead podcast is going to continue. Of course, that'll be up to the FUTHead boys to see if they want to do anything. But Tom, in particular, who runs FUTHead.tv, he's uploading stuff all the time, so he might not decide to do it in a podcast format, but the same sort of content will be coming out from him as it ever has been doing. Our show will carry on as you're used to, so your novelty players of the week and all that jazz will just be somewhere else, and we'll put all the details into the show notes, into the description, put some stuff on the screen so you can see where to find us. And of course, you can contact us both on Twitter. I'm at Lambo Matt, and he is at Matt_Aguilera, like Christina, but slightly more dirty.
Especially today, of course. So yes, I think it's the good thing would be is that we've loved being a part of FUTHead. I mean, FUTHead are the best FIFA site in the world as far as we're concerned. That's why we worked with them. And that's why we were honoured to be a part of things, and that still remains to be a way. It's been the greatest pleasure for me and Metz representing FUTHead and being part of the community. It truly has. We're still going to be part of the community. We're just going to do it in this different way. So we need to thank Tom for all of his work behind the scenes he's done to make sure that our shows get uploaded and out there so that you can listen to them. Also thank Dan, because without him, FUTHead doesn't exist. That's Dan Paulson. I interviewed both Tom and Dan back in the day when we were doing FUTStock, and that's how the whole relationship started. We just hit it off. We just got on, and from that point on, it just made sense to be together. And Well, that sounds
That was very romantic,
romantic.
yeah.
No, I do love Tom in that, in a platonic kind of fashion. He's a good guy. So they all are. And as you've said, Tom's going to still be doing the FIFA Weekly with the bullshit of the week, which you all love. So it's all going to be all singing and dancing. FUTHead are going to be awesome, and we're going to do our awesome thing. But we do have a show to bring to you. So we've got that schmaltzy stuff out of the way. We're going to start talking about FIFA. FIFA 17 is upon us. We're starting to see more gameplay videos. We've seen people playing it live. We've seen Castro play it with Royce, who actually is really good at FIFA, it turns out to be. And we've started to get our first impressions thanks to all the content out there. I said that awful word, content. So, Metz, you've been really diving into this because you were ready to give up on FIFA. You were like, I'll just buy PES, I don't care.
After Chemgate, I was left in a situation whether I really wanted to carry on supporting this game. I mean, this is something we're going to cover in FUTStock later, how FIFA and EA have basically gotten away with this one. We won't spoil this episode with all that conspiracy talk, though. But it did make me consider whether I wanted to carry on. And because PES 17 actually looked really good, I did think about giving that a fair crack of the whip and seeing if that's where I wanted to be this season. But now that the FIFA 17 content's coming out, it's pretty obvious that's going to be the place to be again this year. And when we took our little break at the start of July, apart from being right in the midst of Chemgate and just waiting for EA to patch it up, there wasn't a whole lot going on. The game was essentially dead for this year. And now in the last 10 days or so, we've really gotten a massive amount of news break about FIFA 17, and then particularly what's going to be in Ultimate Team 17. It looks really exciting.
It really does. I think that FIFA 17 actually genuinely looks excellent. I was also of the same persuasion of you that with Chemgate, I hadn't been in a position with FIFA for such a long time where I didn't care whether it was good, bad, or ugly. The only thing would be, of course, leaving behind Ultimate Team, which is what we both play extensively. We don't really bother with career mode or all the online matchmaking stuff or anything like that. It's only Ultimate Team. And PES 2017 looks excellent, but what they've done with FIFA 17, especially all the new features which we're going to talk about, which we're all very excited about, and withstanding the whole Chemgate thing, FIFA 17 looks like the strongest release they've done since probably FIFA 14. In my opinion.
I think this is probably the first genuinely next generation version of FIFA since PS4 and Xbox One came out. They were sort of slightly improved versions of the last generation's worth of FIFA. This one is on Frostbite. It looks legit, and there's going to be more physicality. They're actually allowing you to do some decent stuff with set pieces. So I think this is going to be the best ever version of FIFA. And as far as Ultimate Team goes, I think this will hopefully erase any negative connotations that EA have generated in FUT 15 and FUT 16 in particular. There's been a lot of controversy. It's kind of tainted the game a little bit. They've probably lost a few players who just walked away from it because it's been a little bit silly, particularly with Chemgate. Hopefully this will readdress the balance. So I think it's probably a good time for us now to start talking about some of these amazing new features in Ultimate Team 17.
I think it is, yes. Why not? It's why we came here, after all.
Okay, so I think let's start off with one minor negative that's just come up in the last couple of days about FIFA 17 as a whole, and this particularly affects me in Ultimate Team, is I like Italian players, I like the Italian league, I like the kits, I like the badges, etc. Serie A and Serie B are not licensed in FIFA 17, which is
unforgivable.
It's a bit of a disappointment, isn't it, considering that they've gone to significant lengths to put in stuff like J-League or these extra stuff that we've been asking for, and then we've actually lost one of the biggest staples in terms of the actual licensed leagues. I mean, it's not the Premier League or La Liga, thankfully. They're the big two. But then Serie A definitely is third, and it's definitely the player's choice in terms of making cheap beast Ultimate Teams. Now, the players will still be in there, but I don't know, it just makes me feel a little bit deflated that I'm not going to be able to have officially licensed kits, stadiums and badges and all that stuff. So you're going to have Roma Red and Roma Blue and all this
bad
nonsense, and it's really disappointing. So it's not all rosy, but it's a fairly minor niggle. But for me personally, because Serie A has always been my favourite league, that does disappoint quite a bit.
I think the one thing is just to address that. Serie B hasn't been licensed before, and what they do use the team names, but they're not allowed to use the badges or the kits.
That's right.
You're not going to be able to use the new Juventus kit, which is actually really nice, if that's your kind of thing. I mean, I'd never use a Juventus kit because I like to be a hipster wanker, and I'm going to definitely be using J League kits. Of course I am. Of course.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to get that Cashua Antlers kit.
And me, I'm looking forward to it. So that's a massive miss. And this is something that if it's in PES, we'd literally be like taking the piss out of it and saying how bad it is and how like it's completely unacceptable in this day and age not to have licenses and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, this is one of the reasons why we stay away from PES, is that we're not getting that full immersion. Obviously, it doesn't affect the gameplay, but it's just nice to have the fully licensed experience. And okay, this is one league, but this is one of the things that we year on year criticise PES for, and somehow EA have let this one slip through the fingers. And I don't know if PES have gotten Serie A as a licensed league and taken it away, or they just couldn't do a deal for some reason. But it does seem very odd.
Well, Serie A is definitely licensed in PES. I do know that much. Whether that's, but I'm pretty sure it's always been licensed in PES.
Don't know. We haven't played for years, so.
The Premier League's always been the dicey one with PES. That's the one that's always had like they can only license like 2 teams.
Yeah.
So like 1 year it's Arsenal, 1 year it's Liverpool, and that kind of stuff. So it's a shame to lose that kind of thing. It does make the immersion factor go down a little bit, but admittedly, in Ultimate Team, all you're going to miss out on is the kits and the badges. Dybala's going to be there. Higuain's going to be there, complete with his rotund belly that's worth 75 million apparently. And who else? The whole slew of Serie A players. They're all at Juventus now, aren't they? I was just going to say Pjanic, like as if that was a difference, but he's actually at Juventus, isn't he now? So I think that it's not as bad as news as you make out. On balance with.
It's more personal for me. I don't think most people are going to care, particularly now Pogba's not there. Serie A might as well not exist for some people, but for me, it's a disappointment. But anyway, let's sweep that one under the carpet like EA like to do, and let's talk about some of these new features in FUT 17, because I was a little bit, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of news coming out. When we took a break, everything was pretty quiet. There wasn't anything new going on there. And then we've had Gamescom in the last few days, and suddenly all the cards are on the table, loads of new features. Everyone's really chomping at the bit, thinking that FUT 17 is going to be the biggest thing ever. I tend to agree. So let's start with squad building challenges. It's what we're all about on the FUTHead / FUTStock podcast.
It's actually a really good thing. I mean, my God, they've actually been listening out. I mean, this has been a suggestion that's been made by loads of people, and we've advocated it, that the fact that you could use your crappy players in your teams, like Austrian players, and, nobody uses Red Bull Salzburg players. There's one of you going to be saying that.
There's some hipster who makes like a Spanish team and has Jonathan Soriano up front.
Yes, that's very true, I'm sure. But for the main part, you're not going to be using players like that, or all Club Brugge players and all this kind of stuff. So it gives us this opportunity to play these challenges and make the best squads that we can. And when we submit the squad, what actually happens is that we get prizes based on it. So you can get coins, you can also get players as well. That was shown on Gamescom, wasn't it? That like if you complete certain challenges, you'll get players, which is a very interesting thing. A blue and purple card that look quite beautiful, even if I do say so. And the good thing about this, of course, is that we get to use these junk players. Instead of discarding them and getting the coins, we get to put them in this squad building challenge, and we're essentially gambling that we'll get more than coins, which I'd want to. I mean, when you get to a certain point in this game, discarding a random gold defender from Italy, it's neither here or there, is it?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have multiple challenges at any given time. So it gives people an incentive to keep hold of players they'd otherwise discard. And you're also going to have to collect silver and bronze if you never did that before. So that opens up more of the database to more of the players, which is always good. And given that even the most innocuous cards now are going to have some sort of value in terms of trading within squad building challenges. It's going to have less of them get discarded, great, but then fewer of them are going to be on the market because people are going to hold on to them in anticipation that they might get included in a challenge down the line, which is a great thing. So that means there's going to be less clutter on the transfer market now, which means hopefully that just about every player is going to have some sort of value above discard, at least for a while. I mean, towards the end of the season, it'll go the same way as it always does. But for, let's say, up until at least the halfway stage, everything's going to have a certain value to it, which just makes the whole transfer market and the trading experience much more engaging, I think, adds value. I just think it's a really great feature, and it's something that we haven't had since the beginning of Ultimate Team, whereby they used to give you rewards for completing a whole club page. So let's say you collected every player from Arsenal, and you get a small reward for it, even if you were intending to use some of those shittier players like Rosicki, who no one uses, or Mertesacker, etc., etc. Well, now they're worth something, and they're worth keeping hold of. And what you have to remember, though, is when you're making these squads for the challenges, you don't just build the squad, get a reward, and that's it. They actually take those players away from you. So you have to choose the players that go into the challenge quite carefully. You don't want to just use your best players just because they meet eligibility. Let's say they want all English players, or you have to build an 11 from the Premier League. Don't shove your Rooney in there and your Aguero, etc., because once you complete the challenge, those players get taken away from your club in exchange for whatever the reward is for that challenge. So it's trying to find the right balance between cost and reward, rarity and what is more widely available. And it will make people think a little bit more. And I imagine for that very reason, Premier League, or at least top-level league, bronzes and silvers are going to be worth a lot more in this game.
I think it's a great point, and I think the one thing that you're going to see from this, you're going to see unprecedented spikes as well. For example, if they release a challenge where if you complete a certain amount of squads, like they showed at Gamescom on their trailer, that like you get a upgraded Royce, or Royce, whatever you call them, Royce, you will see people buying those players that are required for that. So if it's like it requires Bundesliga 2 players to get it done, Bundesliga players are going to go up in price. So you're going to have more opportunities to smell the money. Because that's what we've always done when we've given out tips. We just always smelled the money. We always just said, right, okay, this tournament's coming up, so these players are going to be valuable. Or we're going to say, right, in the calendar right now, we're expecting Paddy's Day, so buy your Irish players now because they're going to keep going up and up and up and up and up. Spike just before and then drop off. So you're going to have more opportunities to trade and more opportunities to make yourself some good coins. I think you're going to have more coins than you ever anticipated in FIFA 17. That's my first prediction.
Yeah, well, I think they're putting the emphasis on more of this participation in these sort of static challenges to get rewards that are unique to those challenges. So you're going to have your players and teams of the week informs and all that stuff, but then the rewards that you get for completing challenges will probably be untradeable. So it's just a matter of you accumulating excellent players in your squad for your use only. So it's not going to affect the trade side of things. It's not going to unbalance the market. And it gives everyone a fair chance at getting hold of these players, whereas most people aren't going to get like a top-level inform like an Aguero, Ronaldo, etc., etc. So unlike last season, whereby they put a focus on FUT Draft, and we haven't heard anything about FUT Draft, I believe.
Oh, they haven't done anything about FUT, but apparently there's 2 new modes for FUT Draft they haven't announced yet.
Yeah, so we don't know what's going on there at this point. And the whole idea of FUT Draft was to give everyone an opportunity to use players they wouldn't normally get to use. I don't think that particularly worked because that just turned into a La Liga fest in the end. But this will, everyone can complete these challenges because a lot of the players will be inexpensive. It's just players you get in packs you wouldn't normally use. So everyone has the opportunity to get involved and get some big coin rewards or rare player rewards, special versions of cards that already exist. And like the instance they used at Gamescom was you had to complete collect every club in the MLS, a few players from each club, and then they finished on Toronto FC, and you got a special Giovinco. You got a special Giovinco, which looked very nice. And if you had to buy that card, it would be very, very expensive. But because everyone's going to get an opportunity to squad build challenge towards that, most people will probably get that card, which is great.
You're going to be spending more time doing squad building than you are actually playing the game, Metz.
A lot of people do that anyway. I mean, a lot of people
I know, exactly.
out of building experimental squads rather than actually playing matches. So this really ramps that side of the game up for those type of people. And yeah, I like building novelty squads. It's one of the reasons why we got into doing podcasting, because we tend to make squads a lot of other people wouldn't think of doing. Like, we got a lot of good feedback for our Portuguese league squads and Turkish league squads.
Oh yeah, the Portuguese-Turkish hybrid that we did. Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, they were great. And my my Austrian Bosnian friendship team.
I'm not convinced about that one still to this day, but you enjoyed doing it.
It played well, but it wasn't exactly a Division 1 team or anything. So I'm really excited about squad building challenges. I think it's going to be a really positive addition to FUT 17, whether you're opening packs or just like hoovering up unique players off the transfer market or whatever. I think it's going to be really good.
I can't see any downside to it. I just think it's a nice layer that's been added to the whole game. It's going to improve your market. It's going to make you have to be more tactical, should I say, with your squad building.
And I like being tactile with my team.
I like being tactile as well. I really enjoy it. You know, and also with those squads, it means you have to be more mindful about what kind of players you let go and that kind of thing. So, player hoarding is going to go up through the roof.
Yeah, it's going to create a shortage on the transfer market, which is something that has been desperately needed. There's just too much non-rare gold chaff on the transfer market that no one wants. They either discarded it or they list it for a small profit, completely pointless. Now they're going to hold on to them, which means that theoretically every player should be in demand. And I wouldn't be surprised if it got to a point where the rarer players are the ones that have the most supply all of a sudden in this game. It's going to be a bit of a topsy-turvy thing. But one good thing about squad building challenges is that it's mobile compatible as well. So even if you can't get to your console or your PC to play a match, you can do squad building challenges on your commute to work or whilst you're playing Pokemon Go or whatever.
Whilst you're playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I've got my phone here, iPod here. I'm going to do both at the same time. Be efficient with your free time, folks. What it's all about.
Yeah, I couldn't help but agree with that. So, rounding up squad building challenges, something's been needed for a good while, like the appealing to people who like to collect and have that kind of need to hoard. This really rewards that kind of player,
yeah.
rather than actually. For example, you never get who's played with Michael Carrick in most squads.
Well, you have.
Yeah, probably at some point. But like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like Gareth Barry, these non-rares who are just excel at nothing. They're never worth anything all the way through FIFA's lifetime, apart from when you need to build an English team, for example. And even then, they very rarely spike. So
Joey Barton.
Did you say Joey Barton?
Yeah.
Oh, Rangers will be back in as well, won't they?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, Rangers kits, Rangers badge, and of course Joey Barton. And who's the other one they've signed? Was it Celtic? I'm thinking of Colin Kazim-Richards, aren't I? No, he hasn't signed for Celtic.
Yeah, he went to Brazil, of all things.
Oh, yes, he went to Brazil, but he wasn't Celtic.
Scott Sinclair went to Celtic, if that's who you're thinking.
That's the one. I'm thinking of Scott Sinclair, yeah.
Lovely.
And apparently Julian Lescott's going to sign as well. I'm sure you all can't wait to get him in your squads.
Yeah, it's going to be like the Dick Advocat days back in Scotland. It's going to be funny. All of a sudden, some supposedly top-level players will be back in Scotland, but anyway. Yeah, I think overall, to round out up squad building challenges, gets a big FUTHead podcast thumbs up from us.
Yeah, massively so. I think it's a great addition. So what we're going to talk about next then, Metz?
FUT Champions.
Now, I'm less convinced by this.
Really? I thought you'd be into this, because one thing that we always got asked quite a bit on the podcast was, would we play matches against our listeners, which isn't something that we tend to do, purely because we like to play competitive matches, work towards something. We don't just play friendlies or whatever. We're trying to build on stuff. So whether it's divisions or winning tournaments or whatever. And FUT Champions, it's the new initiative from EA to add more competition and worth in the short and long term to all these online tournaments that you like to play. So it's kind of split into two, isn't it? You've got the week round of matches, which I think is going to be played over 40 matches, which sounds like quite a lot. And within those 40 matches that you play, you're going to qualify for what's called a weekend league, which is going to be super competitive, high rewards, the sweatiest of the sweaty, basically. It's going to be really, really hard.
I think that's what troubles me about is how it's a weekend league. I think it'll be massively hard, but we'll just see when it comes out. In principle, it's something that I should love, but I just think like it's just going to be so sweaty and grim. You know how bad tournaments are on Ultimate Team most of the time. Some of them could be horrendous.
Well, that's the good thing though, because you remember for at least half of last season we were waiting for some good novelty tournaments to come out, and they just didn't.
That is true.
And we were playing the bog standard gold tournament for weeks and weeks and weeks. And okay, you play 4 matches, win them in a row, win a small coin prize, and that's it. Not a whole lot of prestige or kudos or rewards in there. But now those bog standard tournaments are essentially going to be qualifiers for much bigger tournaments with more prestige, more rewards, and essentially the cycle just doesn't stop by winning the 4th game. You're just going to keep going and going and going and going until you get to the highest level of play, which I know we probably won't get to, but at least we're going to be able to. I don't think so. We're going to reach tiers that simply didn't exist before, which is good. And you're going to find out more accurately where you rank amongst the FIFA elite. And it was always difficult before because we had leaderboards for your friends and the top 100 and everything, but you know they were full of hackers and it was bullshit. It was just basically
it's very true.
The people who were top of those leaderboards were the ones who were abusing coin glitches and stuff, so it didn't mean anything. But this, now it's based on competitive play, and because there's going to be like cash on the line, they're going to have to work a lot harder to get rid of bots and cheaters and stuff. So this is going to be much more meaningful than it was before.
You'd think so, but in practice, they aren't that good at it, are they? Let's face it. Getting rid of the bots or not.
Historically speaking, no. Terrible. But I think we have to give them...
You can't even explain the chemistry system to us yet.
No, yeah, that's a story for another day. All this transparency about chemistry, which hasn't been forthcoming yet. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this works out. You in particular are a very high volume FIFA player. You know, you've played well over 1,000 matches.
I have, it's true.
So it'll be interesting to see that someone like yourself, who's got a bit of savvy about the game and puts in a lot of volume, will end up in this, because you're definitely an above average FIFA player or Ultimate Team player specifically. And
above average, yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah, I would definitely rank myself in a similar kind of category there. So I want to find out where I rank amongst the elite. I'm probably not as ruthless a player as I should be in terms of how I pick my teams and how I actually behave in matches. We've done special reports before, haven't we, whereby we've talked about how you can hold on to like a short lead to try and ensure you get a result, and basically conceding in the last 5 minutes of a game is unforgivable.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time that goes out the window because you're just trying to enjoy yourself. But now there's cash on the line. The style of play and the kind of ruthlessness you're going to find online is going to change things a lot. And people giving me stick before because I've talked about the advantage people get from team play, so having companions and stuff. I'm not going to get into the whole argument about they should get rid of that or whatever. That's an argument for a different day. But how that's going to fit into champions will be interesting, because if you are a single player playing against two, you are at a disadvantage unless they're just terrible.
I agree.
And then it compounds their lack of skill completely. But if they're good at it, it's going to make things more difficult. So it'll be interesting to see how they implement that into the mix. But in general, this seems pretty cool. And if you are someone who can put together 10, 20, 30, 40 matches a week, you could rake up some massive rewards and get yourself some serious kudos for your achievements.
Yeah. Sounds like it's made for me, actually. I'm going to be...
There you go, you're going to be a full-time FUT Champions player.
Oh, God. No, I don't think so, somehow. Hopefully do something more productive with time. I keep telling myself anyway.
It never works that way. Well, if I spent the amount of hours I put into FIFA doing something else, I could you're doing very well for myself, but
Yeah,
unfortunately,
that's how I feel. Especially FIFA 16, I've just absolutely rinsed it. I think the good thing about the FIFA Champions is the cash prizes are actually massive. The actual biggest prize, isn't it like $1.2 million?
it's a 1.3 million prize pool over a 12-month period, so no one's going to win 1.3 million. It's probably going to be like a
Not much difference either.
200,000 top prize, something like that. But it's still okay. We were chucking all this amount of free time into the game for no cash reward. Now all of a sudden there's something. So anything you get back is basically really good, right?
You could get $100 and it's paid for your game and all that, all done and dusted.
Yeah. And just to add to the whole Foot Champions thing, of course, you've got your sort of week, Monday to Thursday matches, essentially your qualifiers. You have your weekend league, which I think is Friday to Sunday. And then there's monthly leaderboards on top of that, which reset every month. So there's going to be prizes specific to how you perform that. So if you go on holiday for a couple of weeks, you're not completely shagged. You're just not going to do well that month. You can come back the following month and get straight back into the mix, which is great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to kicking it all off as soon as it gets going, but I'm very likely to be away. So I probably will just be admiring it from afar and watching Twitch, which is a shame.
Yeah. So why don't you just tell the listeners about what's going on there, because you've got a little special holiday booked, haven't you, for the launch of FIFA 17, which was incredibly poor planning on your part.
Yeah, I'm going to be away for about from 4 to 6 weeks. I've not decided how long I'm going to be away yet, but I'll be traveling around Europe, and I'll be starting off in the Netherlands and working my way through. We'll see where I end up. Hopefully, end up in fucking Japan again and have some ramen. You know, that's
I was
what
going
I'd
to
like.
say, you might just wind up in a hash bar or watching a sex show in Amsterdam and never leave.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not. I prefer to watch FIFA on stream.
Okay. That says a lot about you, sir. Well done.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, what a neck beard. 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 would not bang.
Yeah, that's you all right.
So we've got squad building challenges. We've got Foot Champions, which is going to give us a prize pool of $1.3 million spread out, which makes competitive play be rewarded with real money. What else have we got coming up then, Metz? Like as if I don't know.
Yeah, nice segue. 10 new legends have been announced. Some of which are very exciting and some of which are like, really?
Oh yeah. Shall we just say the one where you just thought to yourself, him? You taking a piss?
Mr.
Jamie Carragher.
No offense to our Liverpool fans out there. We like Carra, and he's a great pundit.
He is.
If anything, he was an aspiring legend of the week.
God, he was very much an aspiring legend. He is an 84 rated player, tops. He is not an 86 rated player.
It'll be interesting to see what rating he comes out as, because it's got to be fairly low compared to. He's going to be like a Frank de Boer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to be like a Frank de Boer. He's not going to be that quick either. What I find puzzling about it is, I honestly can say I really like Jamie Carragher as a player. I really, really rated him in the late 2000s. He was very, very good for Liverpool. But he's always been shit for England. He's not really an English legend, is he? Like, in the nicest
he's not an international legend. He was the perennial never chosen for the prom kind of player, wasn't he? He squads and play a few qualifiers, but when it came to the big time, he was never chosen, and he was probably harshly done in some cases. And he was a good player, but when you look at the fact Rio Ferdinand and Puyol,
who is
two other defenders of choice, they are legit legends.
Shinisa Mihailovic, he could have been there and there instead. Our aspiring legend of the week. He could have been in there as a real legend. He's better than Well, he's more interested than Carragher, should I say. He's more specialist because of his the old free kicks and all that caper.
Yeah, basically you're just going to have like a slow English centre back who will just be able to connect to loads of people to make him useful. But he's no different, I would have thought. I mean, we haven't seen his stats, but I can just imagine what it'll be like: high defence, high physicality, and low speed. You might as well have picked someone like John Terry. And no one uses John Terry in Ultimate Team.
Nobody does use John Terry in Ultimate Team.
So this is a kind of empty gesture. for Cara. But congratulations to him. Let's have a look at some of the other ones. And there's a couple in here that when I saw, I immediately thought they won't work in Ultimate Team. And I'm specifically referring to Del Piero.
Yeah, Del Piero.
Definitely legend worthy. Will he be effective in Ultimate Team? Probably not.
It's not quick enough. Decent dribbler. He'll be like a Zola, won't he? I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, unless they really exaggerate like his pace stats and whatnot, which they're quite entitled to do if they're going for a young Del Piero. Who had a little bit about him, but
he was never super quick, was he? Though I mean, he was quicker when he was
young.
He
was never rapid.
Yeah, I wouldn't describe him as rapid. He was more like a Raul, just very clever with his feet.
Yeah, those type of players don't work well on Ultimate Team, at least in the past. Maybe with the new physicality that's going into this game, maybe they will be effective, but we shall see. Rio Ferdinand in there, which is a top shout. I'm glad to have him back.
Best defender.
Luis Hernandez, the Mexican legend. Now, if you...
was he even that good? All I can remember is his bloody hair and it being terrible.
Say, I'm sure he stood out for the fact that he had really long Jippo hair, but...
It wasn't the best haircut, was it? It was like, he had like a short hair, but like everything else was long behind it.
He had a good World Cup 98, as far as I remember. I would have thought they'd gone for Luis Garcia from the 94 World Cup, but that's just such a generic like Spanish-Mexican name that it could have applied to millions and millions of people. It would have just been too confusing. So Luis Hernandez is in there, so if you want someone to pair up with Chicharito, you've got one now. And they're probably going to be almost exactly the same type of player. Mark Overmars, I'm delighted to see is included.
One of the best wingers that's been around. It's easy to forget. Ajax, Arsenal, and then he went to Barcelona where he got injured. And then he came back for a little while, went to Go Ahead Eagles, and that was weird. But it was amazing how rapid he was. He was incredibly fast, skillful winger. He could score. Now, if he was playing in 2012, this era, he'd be one of the most well thought of players that ever existed. But unfortunately, because he had such a bad time at Barcelona with injuries, he's kind of forgotten of. He was a stupendous player. I loved him.
Yeah, he was really good. And it was one of those ones that was continually linked with Man United for years, and then all of a sudden Wenger turns up at Arsenal and snatched him away. So it's probably one of those ones that I think Ferguson would have regretted more than anyone that he didn't get hold of. What a player, though, and looking forward to seeing how he'll be rated. And I wonder if he'll be left or right winger on Ultimate Team. Probably right, I would have thought.
Oh, he was a left winger, right-footed, wasn't
he? Yeah. It was a tricky one. But yeah, all good. Paul Scholes is in there. That'll be insanely popular, I would have thought.
You can have loads of people buying him. Let's face it, he's like easily one of the best English players who's ever lived. I don't know whether it's a funny one, isn't it? Paul Scholes got better with age, and also his legend grew with age because he stopped playing for England. Every time he turned up for Man United, it looked amazing. He's going to be a novelty player, very, very novelty, because he's got shots and passing, and that's it. And as you know, I wouldn't play Andrea Pirlo in any team that I build on Ultimate Team.
No, but we would have Scholes, and it'd be interesting to see again where they put him, because early on in his career he was a bit of a sort of deep line forward. In like Le Tournoir, he played up front with Ian Wright, and they looked like a really good strike partnership. And then he gradually got deeper and deeper into his career. So if he's going to be at the highlight of his career, he might be like a centre forward on the game, but more likely a cam, I would have thought.
Cam or a CM, I would have thought, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got three more. Emmanuel Petit. So we've really got a golden era of Premiership football here with Overmars, Scholes, Petit. Dominant, graceful central defensive midfielder. Again, Arsenal, Barcelona, Chelsea. Been around the block a few times.
At Chelsea, which I always forget he did. When he turned up at Chelsea, he didn't even look that good from what I can remember. What a great for him.
No, he definitely is an Arsenal legend, isn't he? Despite whatever he did at Barca and Chelsea, he's remembered for his time at Arsenal. And if you can imagine, if you had a legend midfield of Petit and Vieira, and then Overmars on the wing, you can make like a classic Arsenal team, and then have Perez, who's already in there.
Or Youngberg, of course.
Yeah, God, cheesy on toast or what? And then
Dennis Bergkamp.
Yeah.
Arsenal got loads of them.
Tom Mills will be loving these Legend editions.
I can hear him now. Just
Yeah.
so excited.
I've wasted $5,000. I haven't got any legends.
Yeah, it could be us next year.
I'm not paying for packs this year. I promised, and I'm not going to do it. I'm going to grind my way up. Follow the new podcast to see how Metz gets on with pure trading. We're not paying for any packs. So 2 more legends. We've got Juan Sebastian Veron, who I love, the little witch.
What an amazing footballer. Didn't do very well for United, but
no, he scored that one great goal in the Champions League where he linked up with D-Bex. But he's far more well remembered for his time at Lazio and Parma,
and Inter,
and Sampdoria, and Inter. Yeah, he's played for a lot of teams.
He's a very welcomed inclusion. He is a legend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolute legend. So if Veron's in there, then I would imagine Riquelme's going to get in there eventually because they're so sort of similar in stature. Yeah, so the last legend in the lineup is all we've got on Solskjaer.
Ooh, another Premier League legend.
Definitely not in there for his stint as Cardiff City manager.
Definitely not. But the one thing he is in there for is that he was a tremendous goal scorer. They score. They always score.
He's the ultimate impact sub. Thoroughly nice bloke. And it's probably nice just to have a less common nationality in the legends list, considering how many amazing Scandinavian legends there are. I don't think we've had a Norwegian one up until now. We've had a couple of Swedes and a couple of Danes. But nice to get a Norwegian legend in there. And I think even the most avid anti-Man United fan out there would appreciate that Solskjaer's in there. Such an important player for Man United in terms of what he achieved, particularly that Champions League winning goal that he scored.
I think he's a really, really, really good one. I think that it's so refreshing to see somebody like Solskjaer come in who isn't an all singing, all dancing, pumping like Batistuta player, but score bags and bags of goals. He's going to be an interesting one. He's going to be more of a finisher. He's going to be a bit like Inzaghi, I suppose, but maybe not as quick.
Yeah, like an Inzaghi or Paoletta kind of rating.
Yeah, so he's not going to be one I'm going to be picking up. I can't imagine his stats are going to justify it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just a nice novelty. Maybe an aspiring legend, I don't know, or is he a legit legend? But
he's a legit legend. He was at his prime, at least an 86. If Tony Sheringham's an 86, he is.
Yeah, that's a fair point. The 2 backup Man United strikers at 86 rated.
Oh, now what we need like Beckham in there and stuff like that, don't we now?
It's a matter of time, isn't it? Although you might have to pay quite a bit for Beckham's image rights, I would have thought. But anyway, so we've got one more feature to talk about in relation to Ultimate Team, and it's a big one, one that could have the biggest impact on trading within Ultimate Team, or lack of trading. Actually, it could make you possibly not want to trade as much because there's an opportunity to improve your team by doing nothing. And this one's called Ones to Watch, which is going to be a new weekly affair in line with the Team of the Week, where this is going to be based more on actual form over a longer period of time, not just who scored a goal that week like Team of the Week works. And this is something we've been asking for a while, isn't it? Whereby genuine form is going to be rewarded in a sense that they're not going to release a special version of the card. They're going to improve in real time, to an effect, players that are already in your existing database.
I think it's a really, really good idea. We've talked about it at length. For example, we should be seeing a lot more defenders getting these kind of cards and less popular players who aren't going to pop up with loads of assists and score loads of goals, but yet be really on form. And we saw it before last time with like Jamie Vardy. He got a few informs here or there, but actually he was in form every week. He was hot. His run was amazing that he did. like scored bags of goals and all that, but actually his team of the weeks didn't really justify just how far ahead he was. Of course, he got upgrades, but that's a different issue. I'm excited about this because it gives you an opportunity to buy into players you believe are going to do well. It's like buying stocks, which is why we're called FUTStock, by the way. It's like buying stocks. You could go and invest in somebody. Let's just say I'm trying to think of somebody who's been bought, and he might turn up and score bags of goals. Let's just say it's Gabriel Jesus, just as an example. He probably isn't going to play, but you know,
I was gonna
he could
say,
come in.
that was a weird example.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to work, but if, for example, he hits a purple patch and he gets one of these ones to watch, you're going to be making an investment that tracks along with you. As he does better, you're going to do better. You can sell him at any point. Brilliant, great idea. It's what's been needed to balance out the game a little bit more, because your team of the weeks are just always full of people who've scored goals, basically, and guilt. So now we're going to have less of that and more balance. Do you remember that last year? Balance.
Well, if we look at an extreme example from the previous season, I was on a sort of weekly basis raging about the amount of Suarez informs.
Yes.
This would negate the need to have like 10 Suarez inform. You could have 2 or 3 when he scores a hat-trick, and then you can just improve and then decrease his bog standard card in real time based on his actual current form, which again would provide more balance. And then we wouldn't have the controversy at the end of the season whereby a team of the year player or team of the season player was only getting like a +1 on their most recent inform, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, especially with how rare they are and for how long they're released. It was just stupid in the end. So it is going to negate that. That's the whole idea, isn't it? Zlatan was another one, don't forget. He got about 6 informs. Or 7 informs.
Zlatan got loads. And then, of course, Messi, Ronaldo always get loads. Benzema got way more than he's ever done in the past. There's quite a few like that who were getting excessive amount of informs just because they were dropping 3 or 4 goals in a game on a fairly regular basis. And then there was players like Vardy who didn't get anywhere near the amount of informs as he should have done.
It's very true. And don't forget, like there was like Wes Morgan, who did he actually get an inform in the end, or did he just get into the team of the? Did he just get most consistent?
I think he got on the most consistent team, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Should he have had an inform at some point based on whether he was in form, not what they not what triggers an inform? Do you get what I'm saying? He was in form all season. He was absolutely amazing. He would have been a one to watch.
So was Robert Hoof, as an example.
Yeah, another good one.
Yeah, basically the whole Leicester team would have been very handily rewarded if this ones to watch system had been in effect last season. Unfortunately, because apart from Mahrez and Vardy, not many of them were dropping 2 or 3 goals in a game at any particular point. None of them really got rewarded like they should have been. But players like Albright and Schlupp, Fuchs and Hoof and Drinkwater all should have gotten some sort of improvement other than getting the consistency team of the season. This is basically the answer to a lot of the criticisms we had last season. And we were struggling to come up with a good method on how they would actually fix this, but this is a good one. So you have a player, let's just say Wayne Rooney as an example. He's someone who doesn't get many informs because he doesn't get hat-tricks on the reg. He just has spells of good form throughout the season. If he goes like a run of 4 matches where he gets a goal, a couple of assists, and then just one all-round really great performance, that probably wouldn't be enough for him to get an inform normally, but he could get into the ones to watch squad, which means his normal goal card that's in your club will get improved. You don't have to pack him again. It's just the card you've already got will improve ever so slightly. So kind of like, what was that, the mode that they do this, where it's like based on real life form and you used to log in and the stats were up and down every other week. I can't remember what it's called now because I don't play
Match Live thing or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but they've put it into Ultimate Team, isn't it?
Yeah, it should have been there anyway. I don't understand why it wasn't. It's a feature that a lot of people have talked about, and it's coming. So it sounds like they're going all out to make FIFA Ultimate Team, like they're really trying to wrap it up in a bow now and keep us locked in. I think after Chem, they will have had these features going on for quite some time, of course, but it does help to keep us involved after Chemgate when I think both of us were thinking maybe we could just go over to PES because it has to be said, PES does not have any of these features, but as a game, as an experience, it looks very good.
Yeah, the new PES looks great. You don't have to be a FIFA fanboy about things and get all defensive. PES is a good game. We prefer FIFA, mostly due to Ultimate Team, due to licensing and all that sort of stuff. PES looks like a viable alternative again this year, but I think now that we've seen gameplay of FIFA 17 and all these new features for Ultimate Team 17 look fantastic, we know we're going to stay. We hope EA don't do anything controversial like they did last season. They need to handle things better than they have done because they really riled the irk of a lot of people with Chemgate, and it won't be forgotten about as quickly as they would like to think it would be. And people like us who are kind of like the independent news sources for stuff about Ultimate Team, we won't let them off the hook. So if they fuck up again, we'll report on it again and we won't go away. So I'm optimistic though about this season. I'd like to put the whole Chemgate thing down to it was an honest mistake but poorly handled.
Yeah. Very poorly handled.
Providing that they do the right thing going forward, I guess as a player base, we will forgive them because we want to play the game. But patience is wearing thin. So hopefully we can just get on the optimistic foot, not be negative about things, and really look forward to the new game and, of course, a new era in our podcast. So as before, we sort of say goodbye. I think it's important that we say we haven't fallen out with FUTHead. We remain friends. We've got a very good relationship with Tom and the guys at FUTHead. We don't know if they'll continue doing their own podcast. But if you like listening to what we do, we are available at FUTStock. You can find us on YouTube really easily. And that's the other thing that we forgot to mention, is that we're not going to continue as an audio podcast. So this won't be on iTunes. It's going to be a YouTube thing only from now on because the amount of time and expense it takes to run a podcast, and there's no real benefit out of doing it. We're just going to stop doing that now. Our experience in doing the FUTHead podcast has pretty much smacked us in the face and told us that we need to do something video-based for this particular audience. So you'll find us on YouTube. Everyone can get on YouTube, whether you're on iOS, Android, etc. You've all got access to it. So hopefully you will join us at FUTStock. We'll put the details on the screen for you now. And we will probably start up the podcast again just before the launch of FIFA 17. And I think whilst Matt's told you before, he's going to be on holiday for a few weeks, I will either be doing the show on my own for the first couple of weeks, or I'll try and bring in some community guests to help out with the podcast until Matt comes back off holiday. We might even get a live update from him on his travels around Europe. What do you reckon?
It's very likely. I could just do the podcast like this. I've loved it. We've broken away a little bit from tradition because this will be the last time we do it with FUTHead, but we'll carry on the same formula with the admittedly new action on the screen with our faces in the gameplay. But it's time to say that is the end of the FUTHead podcast.
Do you want to thank me for coming along again?
Of course, I was just about to do so, because what normally happens is you say, God, that was quick.
Oh, yeah. Well, it wasn't that quick this time. It's gone on a while, but...
Yes, it has gone on a while. It's been quite emotional.
The season's been quick. It went really fast. 44 episodes in the bag. That did go fast.
That did go very fast. So I would like to thank you for coming along.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed coming on a Saturday morning.
And I liked watching you come along as well. It was brilliant.
Awesome.
Which has been very different for us this time.
Hopefully people will watch us come along on our new show.
Yeah, come along to FUTStock. We did exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same kind of formula. Me and Matt talk about all the stuff that's going on in FIFA. And I think it's just time for us to say goodbye, really. It's a bit of a weird moment. I think it's time for you to say goodbye, Metz, for the last time, for your patented yet stolen goodbye.
This is, folks. Don't be in a hurry to unsubscribe from FUTHead because they're still doing great content all the time. But this particular podcast is the last of the current run. But of course, find us at FUTStock and don't have nightmares.
Thanks. See you.
Thanks guys for all the support. We'll catch you on the new channel. Bye bye.